Previously on Pixelate Night, our protagonist, an occasional masturbation enthusiast, was tasked with making 100 episodes of content about pixel art. All of this would take place in a 90s era late night talk show studio. However, he was unhappy with the formal setting and impetus to wear clothes. He vowed to escape. So he began to dig down into the earth, deeper into a world he doesn't understand. And along the way, he'll probably still teach you stuff, but in a punk I won't do what you tell me sort of way. I'm gonna stop talking like this because it actually hurts my throat.
I don't know if I'm at peace with my situation or just severely dehydrated, but I don't think I need to complain today. I'm currently waiting for this drill to finish crafting. See that bar filling up? When it's full, I'll have my very own drilling machine. Let's just get into it. There's no point in wasting time. You probably know that Disney owns everything, right? Marvel, ESPN, and a games company called Game Salad for some reason. They also bought 21st Century Fox in 2019, which means they own Family Guy. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance is a Disney game that came out a little while ago and has really cool pixel art. See where I'm going with this? I'm going to put Hank Hill in Kingdom Hearts. Wait, no. If you haven't played any of them, the Kingdom Hearts games are a saga with a straightforward and simple story. It's about a guy named Sora trying to kill a bald guy who's friends with a bunch of other guys that are either him or not him. I don't know. And there are a bunch of other guys in black cloaks that are upset because why is a bald guy in charge when they have really cool hair? They should be in charge. There's also a guy who has the same hair as Sora and the same face, but he's a bad guy. Oh yeah, there's a guy who has different hair to Sora, but he's part of Sora. His hair looks like Ventus's hair. Also, the guy who has Sora's hair is called Vanitas, which sounds similar to Ventus. Also, these three characters are different people. Pretty straightforward. There's also Disney and Final Fantasy characters stuffed in there somewhere. Chain of Memories is unique, as the visual style is pixel art and plays very differently from the other entries in the series, which are mostly 3D. You run around an isometric world, and when you touch an enemy, a battle starts, placing you in the arena. The player and the enemies both attack each other in real time, throwing up cards as attacks. You can see them being chucked in the middle there. The highest value card will override any lower card being played, unless it's a 0, which will override anything, but then anything played after that will override the 0. It's not super important to the art style, but it's good to know. For my emulation of the game, I'm going to be depicting an isometric world and not the battle arena, which is viewed at a different angle. There are some rules to follow when making a game that looks like this. It's time...
Art breakdown.
Hey, he interrupted me. Welcome to...
Art breakdown.
Okay. I'm doing an ARTBREAKDOWN. Okay, I'm glad he can't spell.
I can still spell, you idiot.
Take a look at this. It's a 3D room with realistic perspective. Perspective in this case meaning the illusion of something 3D on a 2D plane, like a screen or a piece of paper. All the lines that run in parallel converge into something called a vanishing point. Rather than a view that looks like this, Kingdom Hearts uses one that looks more like this. It's called isometric perspective. See how it looks kind of flat but still kind of 3D? That's because all the vanishing points have disappeared. All lines going the same way run in parallel. Can you see the difference? This type of view is usually used for tons of old strategy games and KHCOM-FT-GBA. But why is this? Well, first I'll show you what happens if you don't do it the isometric way. This floating room has perspective, meaning that the lines are going the same way and converge in the distance. Now let's put a tall block in there. The block's lines all adhere to the correct perspective. If I try and move it to the other side, it looks all wonky. If I wanted to put a block there, I'd have to totally redraw it, which isn't very economical. Wait, no! Rest in peace. If we change the room to an isometric view, we can place a block that adheres to the right angles anywhere. Now I can copy and paste it to my heart's content. Maybe even Kingdom Hearts can... No. The view used in the game is a matter of economics. You want to get a bang for your buck. Draw one thing for hours and then copy and paste it around your scene in seconds. I'm going to toggle between both views so you can really see the difference. See? Perspective is all converging lines, whereas isometric is all parallel lines. So how would you set this isometric view to look like the game? It goes like this. If we're labeling the three dimensions x, y, and z, we do as follows. Y is the vertical, so all lines go up and down. X goes this way, not diagonal, but like across 2, 1 down, across 2, 1 down, across 2, 1 down. Z is the same, but in the other direction. Across 2, down, across 2, down, across 2, yeah, you get it. If you want to draw something in this world, you have to make sure you're following these angles. I'll draw a simple box first, and then look. I can easily turn it into like a Smeg fridge plugged into the wall with a little outlet. That fits in Kingdom Hearts, right? Yeah. There's a whole lot more to perspective and this isometric business, but that's enough for now. I think you get it.
The game uses quite a lot of colours. The Game Boy Advance was capable of a large palette, so restricting ourselves here isn't much of a concern to make it look authentic. A Game Boy Classic game has 4 colours, whereas a Game Boy Advance game can have up to 512 colours. Characters and backgrounds are coloured differently, but rendered pretty similarly. The background, or the play area in the game, is low contrast and has pastel colours, leaving the edges of the map darker to tell you that you can go no further. You'll catch a lot of nice gradients and lushly detailed objects in the world, but they never override the important characters and interactable items. The more important entities like characters and enemies, on the other hand, have a lot more contrast in them, running from almost black to white, and generally dark outlines. Sora's sprite colours are especially contrasting as you play as him for a lot of the game. Characters need a lot of sprites even to be able to just look around in the game. They can look in 8 directions. There are quite a lot of animations in this game that need multiple copies. I think they must have done something to help with making those sprites. I'm going to take a guess here, but I reckon many of those sprites are rotoscoped assets from Kingdom Hearts 1. I could be wrong, but drawing attacks in this perspective and rotating them for a bunch of angles and keeping them consistent would be very hard to do. Perhaps they're just super skilled and I suck, but I get the impression that there is some drawing over 3D happening. I feel it in my plums. If I was tasked with making a game like this, I would probably go down that route to make the art-making process more manageable and consistent. In games where you platform in 3 dimensions, it's sometimes hard to tell where you're going to land. A common solution for this is to have a shadow directly under the player, and usually enemies too. It gives you a better sense of space while you're trying to figure out if you're going to make that big jump. Chain of Memories is isometric, so it's even harder to tell. So every character and enemy has a circle cast shadow beneath them. Don't know where you're going to land? Look at the big circle. Now that you're up to speed with some of the things I've been thinking about, let's get to the speed paint. Now, I don't have the technical knowledge to mod a Game Boy Advance game, so I'm just going to make a mock-up. Also, you're going to need to forgive me in advance here, maybe even Game Boy Advance here. Sorry. I'm going to be splicing assets together and doing a bit of tracing, so not all of this is going to be directly designed by me. As an artist, I feel a bit weird doing that, drawing over something I didn't make, but to make it feel as close to the game as I can, I have to do it. To start laying things in, I used the floor of that under the sea level because it looked pretty close to the carpet, so that was a freebie. Would have taken ages to paint all those little details by hand. I wanted to put Peter Griffin in the correct isometric perspective, but it was really hard to find a version of this angle in the show. Even his reference sheets didn't show that exact angle. So I looked up some 3D sites where I could rotate him the way I wanted and take a screenshot. I found this little fella, which is not really helpful at all. This was a bit closer to Peter Griffin's proportions, so I rotated him to that 45-degree angle and I took a snapshot, pasted it into my scene. I continued to lay in the shapes of the rest of the room, using this as a reference. Then I started to work on the famous Family Guy couch. It was actually really annoying to try and get all the curves looking right. I've always loved Kingdom Hearts. It was actually my introduction to Final Fantasy characters. I hadn't played Final Fantasy, but I'd played Kingdom Hearts, and I loved Cloud. Cloud Strife, he was my favorite character, and I would draw him a lot. And I remember once, I decided to do a very big project. I said, I'm going to make a gigantic illustration of Cloud. I had a very short attention span, so I never finished it, but this is a photo of Cloud in all its glory. It's beautiful. Never finished. I finished up the tables,
and the paintings on the wall too. Then it was time for the rug. Now, trying to draw an ellipse in this perspective whilst also being lazy was very difficult. I opted to cheat by copying the rug on the floor, tracing over it, and then skewing it. It did the job. Now it's time for Peter! This is my first of many sins. I'm tracing him. I'm sorry. Drawing isometric fat guys is not my forte. After laying everything in, I began to render him, trying to emulate the style of Chain of Memories. It's got lots of different shades going on. This style is quite detailed, not really cartoony, but more pillow shaded. Pillow shading is a type of rendering that a lot of old pixel art games would do, where things look quite round. It's not a very realistic kind of lighting, but it just feels very, like a pillow. Then I started to work on the dialogue boxes and portraits. This is my biggest sin at work. Totally shameless tracing, just awful, but it got the result I wanted. It looks exactly like on-model Peter Griffin. Then I shaded Peter's big fat cylindrical head. I then rotated it for a reaction facial expression, and shamelessly traced more details. An indispensable website for making this video has been Spriter's Resource. People who really love retro games take time to rip assets and put them up for people to use, remix, and make terrible Family Guy crossovers with. I looked up the font so I could make the text in my mockup match the text in the game, but quickly realized I don't know how to turn this texture into a font, so I tried to place each letter by hand, which took forever. I gave up after one sentence and opted to find a font that was very similar, and then tried to match it as close as I could with this outline effect. In this game, character portraits have 5 frames of animation, so they can flap their gums and blink occasionally. I animated Peter talking and yelling when he gets scared by the Kingdom Hearts characters appearing in his living room. Something that kept happening while making this was the recording software pausing, so I would lose random bits of footage, like me making this Peter turn animation, or me putting together these turning animations for Sora, Donald, and Goofy. I realized it was because I had assigned the hotkey to stop recording with Control-T, which is also the shortcut in the Pixel program I use to select the current layer's assets. So yep, I just kept doing that. Anytime I'd select something, I'd be pausing the recording. There are huge chunks of this video missing, which is annoying. For the dialogue, I wanted it to feel like what Kingdom Hearts characters would say, but also what Peter Griffin would say. I had a first pass, but it didn't feel quite right. I had stuff like, "Yeah, are you imaginary friends?" Or like, "Yeah, freaking sweet, anime characters." And it just didn't really hit. So I called up my friend Sean, who's a great animator and an occasional Family Guy watcher, to see what he thought. Hey man, how's it going? You love Family Guy, right? Like you love Family Guy.
Yeah, sort. I mean, I've seen it. I don't love it.
Anyway, I'm trying to write dialogue for a video. The idea is that Peter Griffin is like meeting Donald Duck, Goofy, and an anime teenager for the first time.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Are you off your meds again?
Nah, on them. What would you say Peter would say to these characters if you saw them?
Saw who? What?
Like the characters I just mentioned.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. No, I'm with you. I maybe he'd say something about seeing Donald's penis because he doesn't wear pants. He'd probably say something about that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know Family Guy that well.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yep, I'll probably do something like penis related.
Hey, actually, speaking of penises, you haven't paid your rent in like 5 months.
After some reflection, I realized he was right. I needed more penis. Peter is a penis guy. So one of the lines is, "I can totally see your entire penis, by the way." The next stage was compositing, which means putting all the elements together. This involved me trying to match the timing and cadence of someone playing the game to a video. Things like how long the text would stay on screen before someone would press next and see the next section. I had finally put all the visual elements together, but I wasn't satisfied. I think to sell the whole thing, I need some sounds. I found footage of a section of the game where it's just the text box sound, the crawl sound, and the button press. When I say crawl, I mean like it goes yeah, like that. I went through each dialogue section and tried to match the sounds to the text. At the end of the animation, I wanted Peter to give an item that he probably shouldn't give because Sora is a teenager. I felt like beer from the show Pawtucket Patriot Ale would fit, so I tried to match this animation when you get a card. I added a fade in, a fade out, and some music from the game, and voila. When I finished the animation, this Peter Griffin in Kingdom Hearts animation, I showed some of my friends, and half the people genuinely were like,
Okay. Okay. This is a joke, though, right?
yeah, it's a joke. I'm not going to upload it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
or like, shouldn't you be working? Like, hey, you made this thing, don't you have a job? So there you go, my brothers and sisters. A stupid thing I made and that I put too much effort into. Oh, looks like my drill's ready. I can now peacefully and with grace begin digging just that little bit faster than before. This is the wrong part. I made the wrong part. Now I have to mine all this shit in so I can make a stupid drill so I can get out of this place. I hate this place.